Alright, let's look at Standard 16, Substandard D. Describe the modern forms of cultural forms of cultural expression, including Louis Armstrong and the origins of jazz, Langston Hughes and the Harlem Renaissance, Irving Berlin and the Tin Pan Alley. So those are some things we need to talk about. The elements are Louis Armstrong, a jazz trumpet player, Langston Hughes, a famous poet during the Harlem Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance itself and the meaning of it, and then Irving Berlin, the greatest composer of the group, Tin Pan Alley. Political and social interactions, new forms of entertainment. So let's go straight into this Harlem Renaissance as the focus of what we're learning here. Alright. So the Harlem Renaissance is a time period during the 1920s and 30s that was a literary and artistic movement celebrating African American culture. The writers included Langston Hughes, and the musicians we're going to talk about included Irving Berlin and Louis Armstrong. And here's what we're talking about here in the Harlem Renaissance. So Louis Armstrong here in the musicians category. There's a few others if you want to look those up and do some research. And then Irving Berlin. And here's some of the artists listed here if you'd like to look those up. And the community leaders, we talked about W.E.B. Du Bois before. And then the writers has Langston Hughes amongst them as one of the greatest poets during the Harlem Renaissance. So if you want to do some research and look those up, have at it. But these are the three that are in our standards what we're going to look at. Let's look at Langston Hughes first. Langston Hughes was the best known poet of the Harlem Renaissance. Here he is pictured here. Here is his typewriter writing. And he would write his poems in the tune or rhythm of jazz or blues. And one of his most famous pieces that I like is The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And here it is here if you want to read it. But Langston Hughes, I have a recording here. I'll let him read it to you.
I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers.
Okay, that's Langston Hughes, The Negro Speaks of River, the best known poet of the Harlem Renaissance. And Louis Armstrong is going to be one of the first jazz musicians when jazz comes out during this time period. Here he is here with his trumpet, and he's going to use his raspy voice. He has this particularly unique and genuine raspy voice during this time period that he uses along with his trumpet. And here's one where you can hear the trumpet in it in some of his. Here you go.
When the Saints go marching in. Everybody sing. Now when the saints go marching in. Now when the saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Sing it again. Now when the saints marching in.
That's one of his pieces there. Another one is that I like is "What a Wonderful World." It's a little different tune.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Okay. Tin Pan Alley and Irving Berlin. Tin Pan Alley is the name of a row of music publishing houses in Manhattan, New York, but it also refers to a group of music producers or writers and publishers that actually worked here and throughout the United States. One of the most famous of the group of composers was Irving Berlin. And Irving Berlin wrote thousands and thousands of songs and performed all the way up through the 1960s, 30 to 40 years of performance by him. And some of his famous composings when music was one of my favorites is God Bless America. I'll let you listen to it.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home. Sweet home.
Another one of his is White Christmas. This is him playing the music but not singing. What's interesting about Irving Berlin is that he couldn't read sheet music and had a special lever inside of this piano that he would use to move around to change the keys on the piano. He had it specially built. Irving Berlin is a special character to read about in history. He's part of this Harlem Renaissance. Okay. I think we've met our objective here. It says describe modern forms of cultural expression. We looked at Louis Armstrong, the great Satchmo, jazz musician of the saxophone. The trumpet, saxophone, trumpet. Langston Hughes, the greatest poet of the Harlem Renaissance, and the Harlem Renaissance itself, and Irving Berlin, Tin Pan Alley. And again, Harlem Renaissance was a literary, and when we mean literary, we're talking about the poet here and his poems, the writer Langston Hughes, and it is also a musical and artistic movement with musicians like the great Satchmo here, Louis Armstrong, and Irving Berlin here. And I think we've met all of 16D, Langston Hughes, Harlem Renaissance, Irving Berlin, and Tin Pan Alley. Ask questions in class. Look these people up on YouTube and listen to them yourself. Good luck on the quiz to test the EOCT.